What's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. President MSOTD rocks for Rock and Metal Thrive. Yes, we're doing a Wednesday episode. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is the 17th of February. Happy birthday, Dad. Yeah, it's my dad's birthday. However, this one is a special episode because the band we have on today out of Pennsylvania is releasing their new album, Mystic Auras, on Friday the 19th. And yes, all the information you need on the album and where to find it, where to stream it, where to pre-save it is in the link below for the description. Well, description below. Yeah, I messed that up, but you guys know what I'm talking about. However, this band, metalcore band out of Pennsylvania, they're called Ascent Like Wolves. Their third album, Mystic Auras, again, coming out on the 19th. And I got to talk to one of the vocalists, Nick, all about it. We really went deep with this album. And when it comes to really understanding the concept behind this album and really that deep dive into it that you're not going to really get anywhere else, this is where you come and this is where you're going to listen to it. So when we tell you this album is a great album to put in on a nighttime drive. Just drive, listen to it, and really experience it. This album will become one that you will reflect on and really take to heart. It's going to impact you heavily and you're really going to enjoy it. So please welcome Nick from Ascent Like Wolves to the podcast. Are you ready for this interview? Because I know I am. So let's go. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast, our guy Tim over at Adam Splitter keeps sending me all these great bands, and this one, you're definitely going to want to listen to this one. They have a brand new album called Mystic Aura coming out on February 19th of 2021, so you're listening to this podcast right now. It'll come out a little bit after this podcast releases, so make sure you go and pre-save that on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever the hell you are. But first, listen to this podcast where we talk all about it with Nick from the band Ascent Like Wolves. So, Nick, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Oh, man, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just excited to talk about the new album and stuff, man. Let's get going.
I'm excited to talk about it as well, but I always have to start out by asking you 3 questions first before we get started. And the reason I do this is so that everyone gets to know you a little bit more, gets to know the band a little bit more, and also, we get to start out on a fun note, well, for me at least. So I always ask you 3 questions. The first 2 are easy. The last one is my favorite. The first 2 are, what is your name and what do you do in the band Ascent Like Wolves? But the third, that's my favorite, where I ask you for a little fun fact about yourself. But I always like to hear the wackiest fact about yourself or a wacky story, whatever you can come up with, whatever you can do to make me laugh, make the audience laugh, whatever it is, because I've heard some really wacky ones. I've heard people, chloroforming other members of the band and taking them to a beach and leaving them there. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones I've heard. I've heard some other wacky facts from a couple of different guys. I've heard people's Tinder bios. That's always a fan favorite of mine. So whatever you got, go for it, man.
All right, yeah. So I'm Nick Bolts. I am a co-vocalist in Ascent Like Wolves, along with my brother Alex Bolts, who is currently probably getting his hair done for a photo shoot, I'm thinking. So wacky fact, man. I guess I was talking to you before. I did this. My computer it broke in China one time. We were doing like a tour over there a couple years ago for our previous EP, and I guess it was a really wacky night. We were in Ground Zero, Wuhan, China. Probably one of the scariest places you'll ever see. And we just everyone just kind of like ate somehow ate these almost like hash brownies or something like that. Not knowingly, because I felt terrible. Even when I was waking up the next day. So I mean, it put us in a hell of a stupor. Long train ride the next day. I woke up still feeling, kind of fucked up still. It was just a wild story. I'm surprised we got through the day. It was pretty much, like if we were zombies waking up out of the grave. But so we managed to, head on the train, get to the next venue. It was just kind of too wild of a night. But yeah, I've never eaten just like the proverbial hash brownie and actually, just taking in all the effects during a tour like that. So fun night. Probably could have gone very badly, but it actually ended up as a great story I usually tell. But yeah, it's That's China, I guess. You know what I mean?
Were you guys headlining on that tour over in China? Because I think in the press release that got sent to me, I think it said that you guys were touring with a different band over in Japan, and then you went over to China, were the headliner for that little run over there.
Yeah, yeah. So this was um our second stint over there in like 2018, and it was just us by ourselves, doing like hour-long shows. Um, so the days were long. They didn't make any sense. Sometimes they just didn't end. So I mean, yeah, it was just pretty much us the whole time, and our tour manager at the time.
But it would be totally worth it because a lot of the bands I've talked to that have traveled overseas and performed overseas
Mhm.
outside of the United States, or even in different countries, mostly in European countries, like everyone tries to come over here into the US, or over
Yeah.
here, everyone tries to go over to Europe as well, or Japan. However, I've never really heard of someone not only touring in China, but also having a headlining run in there. So that's got to be something that sets your band apart from a lot of others in the metalcore, metal rock scene today.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like a big accomplishment of ours, to do it, not one but two times. It's always a great talking point when I kind of introduce myself to other people. Not necessarily a brag. It's like, yeah, I like played in China, not to brag, but it's in China. It's not exactly like but yeah, I mean, it was just a wacky time. We we were on CI Records back then, and a band before us, Carousel Kings, really good pop punk band on the label, went there probably like 5 years previous. So they had kind of like the connection with the label, and then we kind of hit up the touring agency Hot Pot Music over there, and then we kind of like swung something together for the first time, and ended up going again the second time because I guess we missed it so much. We liked it so much, man. I mean, it's just a great time. It's just you know you're you're in like a band at that moment. You know what I mean? Like it's like what separates you from like a kind of just like a startup band from like okay, it's like like real tour time. Let's do this type of thing. So it really strengthened all our relationships, and we always have a whole bunch of cool stories to look back on.
And they kind of add some more of like a family vibe within your band as well with all that touring, because if you think
Mhm.
about it too, you're no longer really going to be considered any kind of a local band because you're touring much further places. However, not really considered a regional band as well, because
Mhm.
instead of just sticking within your region, because I know
Yeah.
you're in Pennsylvania, more in the northeastern part of the United States or in the
Mhm.
eastern seaboard part. I mean, you're going over to Asian countries at this point. You're going over to China, where I
Yeah.
mean, like I said earlier, I don't really know many bands that not only have just toured in China, but even performed in China it completely. So
Yeah.
that's, and you guys have done it twice to this point. So that
Yeah.
says a lot about you guys as a band.
Yeah, it blows my mind to actually think about it, and just like look back on stuff like that. It was like usually I got the thing hanging up here, like about 10 shows, like 10 or so shows in a row or something like that. So yeah, they all blurred together. They were a really good time. A lot of traveling. China's like pretty much as big as the United States, and um, if not bigger, I think. And just to do all that traveling, it's like just traveling around the U.S. in like 10 days. Very crazy. Yeah, can't really describe how lucky I am to have that opportunity.
But knowing how lucky you are to have the opportunity really lets you kind of get more humble in the process as well, and really take things for the value that they have and not take them for granted, so that when life goes on, you remember them and you remember the great times that you had doing this stuff, and
Yeah,
also
definitely.
continue to work on, okay, we've done this here. How can we make this even better? How can we make this grander? How can we affect more people with our music? How can we create
Mhm.
something to the point where that dream, that ultimate goal that we have is going to be met?
Yep, exactly, man. Yeah, always thankful for everyone who showed up over there to our shows, knowing our music or being first time listeners. Um, I think one of the first on the first leg we had like a fan take the train all the way from like inner Mongolia to see us perform. So stuff like that just blows my mind. I'm like, how you even know of me in Mongolia, man? That's just insane. Cool dude. Um, never forget him. Just like stuff like that just makes you kind of like keep wanting to do music and play shows, whenever that's going to happen again. um, but yeah, it just kind of keeps the fire lit, and just I'm really hopeful for the future.
And again, that just adds to the whole entire impact of your music as well. If there's someone who's coming from the middle of Mongolia, taking a train into China to see you
Mhm.
guys play, I mean, that's traveling international borders right there just to see a band. And while
Yep.
I've traveled plenty of times to see bands as well, however, I've never fully, actually, I've once traveled internationally to go see a band, but that was for a whole extra reason as well. And I
Okay.
plan on doing that again once touring resumes and hopefully everything resumes in travel in 2021. I was supposed to do in 2020 go over to Europe and just see a bunch of bands I've interviewed beforehand, but yeah, it's gonna have to wait till 2021. However, I do understand to the point where it's just the connection that you make with the fans, the connection you make with people and have that positive impact on their lives. They're gonna go through leaps and bounds just to see you perform and to share that experience and that positivity with you while you're on stage. That's something that you can really take to heart and really consider to be just a gigantic piece of positivity, not only in your life, but in the whole scope of the world as well.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, always thankful for people showing up, no matter where we're playing. Our last run was 2019 December on tour with Varsity and the Northern from Canada, and just to see even just like the output of people from there, just for to see our music and see us play, it's very cool. I miss touring a lot. It's hard to even kind of remember what it feels like to be in like that type of situation, with the whole, COVID stuff. So I'm like trying to like reel back on my memories and how I felt back then, after being in like a year of kind of like, just like hibernation. Um, but it's wild. I just can't wait to, get this album out to people, and, hopefully play some new songs from it, and just, yeah, just get back out there and start doing stuff.
In my opinion, just with everything that's going on with the vaccine rollout right now, I think we're over halfway past that, just because we're starting to get rolled out now. By the time enough people get it, you're gonna have to open this stuff up. It's just gonna be that way. And I'm looking like from a fan's perspective as well. I mean, I was going to concerts pretty much every single weekend at this point in
Yeah.
2019. That's all I was doing, along with podcasting and doing all the MSOTD rock stuff. So I'm like, I'm really diving into this. It was my favorite thing in the world to do. It was like, okay, what show am I seeing this weekend? What band am I seeing this weekend? What bands are opening for that band? It didn't really matter as long as I was going to have a good time. And almost every single time, I mean, sometimes I go there and be like, oh man, I'm tired. I really don't want to be at this show. First song would play and I was set for the rest of the day. Like I was good to go. Yeah, got a couple of injuries, but that's what happens. But it's something that you really miss because it's just that positive feel that you get from having this just transcendent experience, enjoy music with people who enjoy it for different reasons, but the emotion is the exact same. That happiness is the exact same. That enjoyment is the exact same. And we all miss you guys being on stage as well. We want to go see you guys play live. We want to experience that again. We know you want to experience that again. We want to experience that again as a whole family in a way.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, it's just kind of like, such a bummer right now, just not to being able to just go out and like, give people that release sometimes, when they just see that. Um, I just hope we can get back out there soon. I know in like China and Japan, they're actually like just doing shows right now. They're just like they're still doing it. I'm like, fuck, man, like you guys can do it. Like we're still like kind of stuck, so to speak. Yeah, they're out there. Just I've followed like a few people I knew from over there, and like I see all their photos and all their tour stuff. I'm like, man, it'd be great to be out there doing it. Doing the grind, and yeah, just being out there. Yeah, 2020 sucked.
Well, I'll put it this way. 2020 sucked in a certain way. However, you had to take a look at it with, okay, this is the situation that's being presented to you with 2020. Here's all the crap that you can't do right now. Here's all the stuff that's being removed from our daily lives. Here's basically the new situation that we're in. Instead of really dwelling on that situation, thinking, oh, woe is me, we can't go back and do what we were going to plan to do. You've got to do a complete look at like growth mindset kind of sounds like, okay, this is the situation right now. What can we do to maximize our potential going forward. And with your new album, Mystic Aura, I'm pretty sure, I mean, you guys had to be writing this and working on this all of 2020. So when it comes to basically sitting around doing nothing, there was none of that from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we were planning to release Mystic Aura or Mystic Aura's, sometime like in the middle of 2020, maybe. So with it being pushed back, we had a lot of the stuff written kind of and recorded at like, the end of 2019 mostly. We did go back in the studio and like record, polish some things up in like July 2020, just to get some things, since we were like kind of delaying the release just to just to better prepare for it. And it's hard to expect, even back then we were planning for like a February release. We didn't know it would look like February. It's kind of looking the same. But we're just rolling with it now. It's time to get this new music out. I'm sick of sitting on it. I want people to hear it. I want people more than me just to hear it. You know what I mean? I want to just get it out there and just, I want people to just enjoy it.
Well, from coming for people to enjoy it, I mean, before this podcast, I got to listen to that whole entire album. So I definitely got to enjoy it and on that way. So at least there's a couple people that have so far.
However, it's a great feeling, man. I love it.
However, when February 19th comes and then everyone gets a chance to hear this, I mean, I'm hoping people are just waiting for something like this as well. Along with people that really like Ascend Like Wolves, one thing that's going to happen is with, the fact that we haven't been able to really see live bands for almost a year at this point and really get into that concert setting. There's a lot of people that when it comes to their favorite bands, they're waiting for new stuff to come out. They just want that kind of like that fix of happiness just because we can't get that live music right now. We can't go and see these bands live. So new stuff is going to make us happy like that. For me personally, I mean, for 2021, I'm waiting for the new Rise Against release. I'm hoping it comes at some point this year. That's like my big one. I'm like, come on. But there's going to be people where they see the fact that your new album's coming out on February 19th, and they're just going to be like, why isn't it here yet? Come on.
Yeah, man. No doubt. Yeah. I hope people are still like that. I feel like, released like Spirit Vessel or EP, like 2018 March. It just feels like it's been so long since then. It feels like it's been like a decade. But I think people really dig the new stuff, and it's definitely fresh in terms of what we've done in the past. We've a lot of different components in this one that make it just a more progressive and I don't know, really like not metal in places album. I don't know. It's just it's kind of weird like that. It just kind of, I think, shines a little bit differently.
It definitely does, and I think a good reason behind that would have to be the direction you went with the meaning for this album, because of course when I looked through that press release, it said that this was more of like a concept album. It's that sets to uncover the things we desire and why we are drawn to them. Yes, I took a look at it right then and there. That's what my head shifted, because I want to make sure I got it right. And
I saw that, man. I'll have that here too in my end, like what did I write about this?
Yeah. Oh, totally understandable. Don't worry. If you constantly see my head just like shift to the side, it's because I'm looking at this Microsoft Word document that's 16 pages long that I went through the whole entire album with. So there's a lot there. But taking a look at certain aspects that you had in the press release in terms of what you worked to uncover, it was different things about the socioeconomic status quo, certain things with depression, stigma around mental illness, the deconstruction of personal intimate relationships, and even more so. So my question is, why did you go with this kind of a concept on this album, and what was the inspiration behind it?
For the concept, we just kind of want to do something a little different for this release, and just kind of make it a little bit more meaningful, just for everyone. So, anyone can kind of like relate to a topic on this or a song on this. They can kind of spin it and be like, yeah, like this one hits hard for me. Like I really, am like in the lyrics, and I can just see me, just it's just like such an uplifting thing most of the time, man. But yeah, I mean, inspiration wise, I mean, we watched like a whole shit. It's like a lot of like pop culture stuff. We kind of based on like some stuff from TV shows or like movies or books we've been reading or other stuff we've been listening to. I like to, like kind of draw in elements from even like anime shows. So I like to draw in stuff from there and put it into songs, because I like to write about stuff like that, as like a concept. So I mean, definitely modern media slash anime was a big influence in this album, and really helped me personally kind of write stuff and just tell the lyrics in a way that I think other people can really relate to and enjoy. There's references everywhere in like the album for like shows. Eastern Lights is kind of loosely based on that show Lucifer that's like on Netflix.
Okay.
It's basically an interpretation of that just made into a slam metal song. So I mean, we draw a whole bunch of inspiration, from our personal life, from media, and just try to make it into like the best album we could, with all the talent we had, production wise, and all the members contributing equally to like different songs, like writing songs here, writing songs there. Yeah, it was just a really collaborative album in a sense. It's just we had like everyone really putting their own 2 cents into it, and just making it the best it can be.
Well, that's always a good thing because then you're going to get a more complete feel to the album where everyone's going to be able to put their input in there.
Mhm.
And because everyone's going to have different personal influence in their life, whether it's from music, whether it's from life experience. So when it comes to writing a certain song, you're trying to evoke a certain emotion or talk about a certain topic. While you might be trying to describe it in one way or express it musically in one way, someone might have gone through something very similar within the band, but they can put and interject and be like, hey, there's an idea. Here's a different way to go about this. Let's see if this works, because they went through something like that. They have another connection to it, but in a different route. But again, the same emotion. And all of a sudden, it just hits the way you want it to hit. So by including everyone in there, you get a bigger diversity of musical talent to work with and musical inspiration to work with to create the best songs possible and create the most full songs possible for this album.
Yeah, that's 100% what happened. Our producers, we've been working with them uh, since like, I don't even know, 2011. Carson Slovak, Grant McFarland. They've done the new like Moss to Flames, upcoming New Era album, ABR. Yeah, they've just been just killing it lately with all these bands. So it's really fun bouncing ideas off of them, and they really improve our game too. I mean, just in terms of being musicians, kind of like taking us to like the next level, and like taking apart and like something could be like down here and just kind of raising the bar and just just putting that extra little like spice on there, extra spicy spice. So yeah, really appreciate them, really going all in on this album, and taking the time and dedication to make a great sounding product that hopefully everyone will enjoy for decades to come. Whoever happens then, if we're all still around, but I'm thinking we will be. But yeah, I'm just so thankful for everyone who's come into this album with a positive attitude and just contributed something that I think people will enjoy and listen to all year. And yeah, nothing beats that, man.
Well, a couple things on that. One is when you're talking about the producers that you work with and working with bands like Moss to Flames and August Burns Red, especially in 2020, where you take a look at the albums that they've helped produce for that year with Guardians and with No Eternity in Gold. You take a look around that. I mean, those are some of the best albums in metalcore, where I know the big metalcore guy on Twitter, Mr. Alan Harrington, those were in his top 4 albums of the year. I think like Moss to Flames came in at number 4 and August Burns Red came in at number 1. When I did my rankings for all the albums this year, I think I had like Moss to Flames at 10 and August Burns Red at 8. So again, that's a top 10 right there. So you're seeing just where they end up ranking. So you're working with people that, especially with metalcore sounds, they really know what they're doing, and they can really help push you further into that and really help raise the level of your music. One other thing I wanted to add, though, was when you're talking about wanting to have people enjoy this album and really connect with it for many years to come, listening to the lyrical content on it and seeing where you were going with the ideas on this album, one thing that's always interesting to see is when you're kind of really trying to drive at a topic or drive at a situation in your music, it all depends upon how you deliver it, because there's times where people really put themselves into it and really go personal in there, or there's times where it's a little bit more abstract and a little bit more, okay, it's a guided kind of principle. However, people are able to really pick up their emotion, really make their own meaning along that guided principle within the music. There are times where I know bands where they go super duper specific on it, and there are people that if you didn't go through that specifically the way they have it written, then you're not going to connect with it as well. There's times where people go way too abstract where you're listening to it's like, okay, that's cool, but I have no idea what's going on. With your guys, though, you kind of had that perfect middle ground where there is a description there and people can really relate to the lyrics. However, they're really going to relate to them more in their own way, and they're not going to be really specifically into it. They're going to be guided towards it, but they're going to really take this album and make it their own in terms of listening to it and really feeling its impact.
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about. I could have like a interpretation, but like it doesn't matter. It's it's like whatever the person listening really wants to hear, and however they interpret the song is really, one of my goals is like a songwriter is just to have, not to kind of like lay out a thing and like, oh, this is like, this is the way to follow the song. This is this. It's like, nah, you can take it like any meaning you want to, and then just kind of put it out there, associate with your own. That's what good songs are made out of, man. You know what I mean? That's just what like the best songs out there are doing. They make you, feel like an emotional attachment to it in your own way, and you take it from there. We did like a lot of like abstract stuff and a lot of specific stuff. Most of the time I would think of a song, I'd kind of picture a theme in my head and just kind of go from there. Especially for Bloom, I was thinking, I was watching just like a lot of music videos on YouTube at that time. And probably one of my favorite videos of all time is Newfound Glory, I Don't Want to Know, from Catalyst.
Yes.
2003, 4. A really respected album in our band, without a doubt, even though, we're not even close to anything pop punk or anything like that, but just, want a respected album, between like, at least like me, Al, Cody. So I pictured that video and kind of wrote something that I thought, would kind of like represent that scene and just all that raw emotion. So it was like a kind of like a stepping stone onto what the song became.
And again, that just taking inspiration from something like that, like again, because you said earlier you took inspiration from certain other things like anime, maybe some literature, but you took inspiration from a Newfound Glory video for this song, and it's going to be something where people that also are connected to Newfound Glory, especially in music, especially around the scene that we're in. I mean, a lot of people, they might not necessarily know as much of Newfound Glory, but when they hear the name Newfound Glory, they know exactly what you're talking about. They know exactly what kind of songs you're thinking of, so they can jump into that right away, and then they can really see where the inspiration came from for Bloom.
Yeah, man, it's all about like nostalgia. It's just, something that looking back on, like I really enjoyed. So it's like, why not just make something kind of from that story and just roll from there, man. Yeah, it's all about just having that effect and really kind of like writing from the heart. Yeah, I really like that song. Probably one of the better songs I think we've probably done ever. It's just so many aspects of that song are just crazy, and I can't even like describe it. It's just such a cool song. We were playing it live. It's like probably one of the first new songs we ever played live too for people, and it always hit hard. Always got good reception. So yeah, dope song. Dope video. Shout out to JT from Era for killing his part 2 in there. He absolutely rocked it. And the video, man. Such a cool dude.
And because I do have to agree with you, with having JT from Era on that track was definitely where it brought up, because I believe if I heard it correctly, his unclean vocals are definitely more in the bridge and the breakdown of that song. I just want to make sure on that before I go into it, because if I'm that wrong on that, I'm gonna look like a total fool in front of you guys. So
yeah, he comes in like right after the bridge, and just absolutely slams like the last, I don't even know, like mid of the song. It's just pretty much just him going hard. And yeah, I don't know. We just wanted like a really big feature in that part just to kind of like just drive it home. And yeah, he really he wrote his part. Um, we didn't have like any input. We're just like, hey man, just whatever you think of, whatever sounds good. And usually when we go that route, it's kind of, we always get something that sounds badass. And that was the case here too.
And I think you definitely did as well, because the reason I have to put this in there is just so that people can understand where I'm coming from. Where when I was listening to the song, trying to figure out exactly where the meaning was and what I was going to interpret it with, it kind of felt like it revolved around the end of a relationship and how we kind of at times don't want those relationships to end. And there are times just where people grow apart because that happens. But then there's also the desire to reemerge in our own and bloom once again, kind of like a flower again, bloom, there it is. And it's something we want to do to move on. And there are times where, especially with the vocal set, I think with JT on there, it really did work out well, because with that bridge, it kind of had as much softer but roughness attached to it. So we were kind of going to the heaviness, that impactful sound that is a desire that the end of the relationship has to really go forward and bloom forward. However, with the breakdown, I mean, you get the payoff here because his vocals just come in and they just blast you with this unclean, raw glory with a heavy breakdown. And I thought it was a great move on your part, just because it creates that kind of like full on just, I'm done with this. Yeah! Fuck kind of feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, just the whole structure of that song, really good. I just love it. It's just, JT after that bit, we kind of slowly faded out with some clean vocals, and I think it drags into Poison after that. Yeah, it's just a lot of an album is kind of song placement in the album. I don't know if really people think about that. Yeah, I like to think, people do. Like why is a song kind of structured the way it is, or like an album, like track by track? Why is it structured like that? It's just because it kind of like it's just like it fits that way. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like it should be like maybe like a college course, or spend like a semester on it, how to like structure an album with songs. I don't know, but definitely bands take that into account. At least like bigger bands, I absolutely know they do. And maybe the labels too, they probably have like a little say, like, oh well, like poppy song, we gotta keep it towards the front, what I mean, heavier songs kind of towards the back. But yeah, I mean, it's just all about how the album flows. And it's kind of like almost like a dying art of just like kind of listening to an album from start to finish.
I've gone in deep with that concept, and the biggest, again, streaming is going to be the biggest reason for it. And however, my biggest thought process is for that comes through my background of studying economics when I was in college, because people are able to stream music right now. And that's basically the name of the game, where people are paying Spotify, Apple Music, whatever service they're paying for, and they can pick any song at any time. So what they're doing is, it's like, okay, they're going to go on to a band, and I'm just going to use you guys as an example. So they go on to, you guys sent like, well, I'm going to pull up your Spotify at this current moment right now. And the top song on there, on the most popular as we're recording this, is Bloom, as a matter of fact. So they're going to listen to Bloom right away as the first one. And what kind of sucks is they're able to have so many different choices. If they're not going to like within the first like 10, 15 seconds, they're going to end up just going back to what they originally liked. They're just going to end up sticking back within that. And again, the variety to pick is fantastic. However, people don't have the investment anymore into listening to a whole album unless they're really invested into that band personally. It's not like going out like in the the mid 90s, early 2000s, going to, or even beforehand, going to buy a physical album, whether it's a CD, vinyl, cassette, 8-track, whatever it is. You're physically paying for that. You're actually purchasing that, so you're putting investment into that. So you're going to end up listening to the whole thing to make sure you can find at least something that you like out of it. So when you're going to listen to it again, yeah, you might not like every single song, but you went through it and you found out maybe some of the deep cuts that, people didn't really necessarily find out about. Streaming today, I'll use Polaris as a perfect example of this, because the singles that came off of The Death of Me did really well. However, there is one song on that album that just blew me away completely. And I didn't listen to the whole entire thing, I would have completely missed it. It was my favorite song from the whole entire year. It was a song called Above My Head. Absolutely fantastic with the way they work with the playing on the guitars, really bring out this whole depression feel. Like you cannot overcome this depression, and you're so stuck inside your head, and you can't you're like way above it. It's just like, you don't know what the hell to do. And I've gone through that, so it hit me in a whole different way. But because it wasn't a single, if I was just someone that kind of just streamed all my music and all of a sudden, I didn't like the first single, I'd have bounced right out of that and gone back to listen to Rise Against. No, by doing that, I found so much more music that I never really knew about and have enjoyed it so much more. It's like my musical library just keeps expanding. All of a sudden, people are asking me about what band to listen to, and I just ask them, okay, what do you like? And I'm pulling out like 10 different bands from the top of my head without even thinking.
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely with the Polaris, man. Another, I think Carson and Grant mixed that new album, if I'm not mistaken. I think they just mixed it. They produced like the Mortal Coil, and I had some badass songs on it too, man. Man, but yeah, the Polaris, man, also a good band. Just jumping back into like the whole thing. It's just, yeah. I mean, I think sometimes just people just need to just take a drive and listen to a thing from start to finish.
Oh God, yeah.
You kind of get like the full effect of the art in that way, and it kind of drives home the album. It's great to listen to singles. It's great that people are listening to music in general, even like ours. I'm over the moon that our Spotify is, kind of like doing pretty well right now. Hopefully it climbs. But I really think people need to like just go out for a night drive, pop that bad boy in once we get the CDs out, pop them in if your car still has a CD player, and just take it all in.
Or if your car doesn't have if your car doesn't have a CD player because you're probably just hooked up to Bluetooth on your phone, what you do is when this album comes out, when Mystic Aura comes out, what I want you to do is, and this is everyone listening, that night, if you're driving somewhere that, it's going to take you a little bit more than a half hour to get to, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to Spotify, you're going to look up Ascend Like Wolves, you're going to look up Mystic Aura, and you're going to play it from beginning to end. And right when you hit play, like, close your phone out, but make sure it's still running, and put it somewhere where it's kind of harder to reach so that you're not tempted just to be like, just to switch it, really taking the full effect of it, really taking the art behind it.
Happens to me all the time. I'll drop my phone like down the seat, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm listening to this now, for the most part. So definitely the thing to do. I feel like Mystic Auras is like a night driver, night driver type of vibe to it. Because I've driven to it very, just like listening at night for, like a lot in the past year. I was like, man, this is a great album to drive at night too. So definitely, definitely a great album to listen to front and back. Very proud of it. Can't wait for people to hear it still. Yeah.
I'm going to have to take a listen to this thing on a night drive sometime too, because thinking about it,
do it. Yeah, definitely, man.
One very consistent thing that I heard, it was with the way the guitar tones were, especially in the second half. While those songs did go a little bit harder, in my opinion, the guitar tone still kind of brought this more melancholic feel to kind of bring you a little bit down a little bit, to really let you kind of just take the full effect of the song and the meaning, really take a look into yourself and to figure out why you desire the certain things that you do in life, whether it's more social, more personal, more economical, more psychological, whatever it might be. But taking a drive at night when you're kind of more in that closed, confined space, because you're driving, your mind is really only focused on one thing, and that is, half focused on one thing probably, which is probably making sure you're on the road, but then you're able to let your mind wander a little bit and really kind of take into effect what the music is actually trying to tell you. So definitely listening to this album on a nighttime drive, just, hit up the highway, just go drive for a half hour, just enjoy this album, really let it sink in. And especially when you get to that second half where the little bit more of that melancholic feel comes to the guitars with the heaviness that the drums and the bass guitar really bring in. Ooh, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, man. Guitar is really dynamic in this release. We try to put as many as we could in every song just to make it, I guess, crunchier and just smoother. Anything you want. We got it's just a really, really nice guitar tone and like everything too. I love the cleans. We had at least we had like Jeff, Blake, Kyle record parts and songs, and they do a phenomenal job on the album. Absolutely crush it, and it's just it's just that back to that feeling of, like everyone working together and like just kind of putting their like little piece in to make something sound as best as it possibly could. Um, yeah, such an integral part of like being a band and making a piece of art that will, stand the test of time.
Oh, easily. And when it comes to those multiple guitars as well, because there was a good amount of times where you had that one guitar that was playing a little bit more, kind of that, what reminded me of a lot of that Architects Holy Hell inspired guitar style with a little bit more of like a higher pitch, a little bit more of a drawn back style though. And you
Mhm.
had a couple guitars really kind of focus more into that heavier, more down tune style that you would expect in metalcore. However, those heavier down tune ones, in the terms of like total volume and taking over the song, they were drawn back a little bit more to really just kind of add a little bit more to that heaviness that the drums were really bringing in at the same time. However, they're really letting that like cleaner guitar shine at the same time as well. So you're definitely getting a little bit more of a different balance here, which helped really emit a lot of those emotions that you were trying to put out within the music.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I mean, just it's such a like a crazy thing. Architects definitely a big inspiration for the band as well. Yeah, I feel like what metal band isn't inspired by Architect songs, because they are. It's just that's just what's out, what's popular, what's hip, what fucking goes hard. So people want to kind of incorporate that into their music as well because they hear how good it sounds and how well they do it. So it's like paying homage to them and kind of like keeping like the whole metalcore like scene alive. Um, yeah, I mean we have a whole, I think there's like a few songs with like kind of like architect-y vibes in there. Not too obvious, but we definitely pay homage to them, and yeah, definitely one of like the better bands in the scene right now, I think.
I will say this for people that listen to this stuff. I mean, they're definitely going to be able to pick up a little bit of that vibe. For me, however, because I mean, I've listened to a lot of stuff like this over the past couple of years and really dive as deep as possible as I can. That Architects vibe was really something that I picked up on a couple of instances.
Mm.
But when it comes down to it, I mean, especially after when they released Holy Hell in 2018, because that was actually the first real metalcore album that I listened to. So, hey, great one to start out with, right? But really
Definitely,
diving
man.
into that, it's like I'm kind of got stuck on that. And then hearing a bunch of other bands kind of take inspiration from that, it does make a lot of sense because of how dynamic that sound was and how different it was in terms of just the emotion that they were bringing out there. Of course, the loss of Tom Cyril and really trying to, in Holy Hell, what it seemed like was going and describing that grief process from beginning to end. I mean, that album was almost flawless from beginning to back with how they did that. So taking inspiration from that totally makes a lot of sense because there's so many people that connect to that sound. Even when you
Mhm.
take a listen to what they did on their new album, which is going to come out a week after yours guys is going to come out, with the singles that are out at the time of recording this with Animals and Black Lungs. With Animals, they kind of really focus on that style, but give a little bit more of a poppy like synth feel to it. For
Yeah,
me,
dude.
I know a lot of people like that. For me, I'm like, it's a little bit too poppy, synthy for my taste. Then
Mm.
Black Lungs came out. I'm just like, okay, here we go. This is freaking awesome. Like they went a lot harder on that one. I'm like, okay, they definitely have that dynamic there where I know a lot of bands are going to be taking inspiration from them as well off of the new one. However, I feel like we're going to get a lot different kind of stuff as well because the dynamics they're going to go with are going to be from that kind of like a little bit of the softer metalcore ends. All of a sudden, that Black Lungs just end.
Definitely, man. Yeah, very stoked to hear how that album's gonna sound when it comes out. Um, yeah, it'll be like another game changer type of thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we try to get a lot of influence from other bands and stuff, and the people who like have done features on the album have even like inspired us to be like better musicians and just just be better people. Like on like Death Effect with Brian, he absolutely crushed his part too. Gave out that song a whole like fucking heavy vibe we were looking for. Um, he's a cool dude. Really completed the song. Just makes it sound like next level shit, I think.
Oh god, yeah. Okay, I'm gotta go into Death Effect when it came to the vocals as well. I gotta look at and tell you guys what I thought about that whole entire song, just because holy crap, you were totally right on that with especially the vocal part, because when you kind of start on the verses, they kind of start out unclean and had this like cutting quality to them. It feels like you're really being taken advantage of if you're listening to them, kind of
Mhm.
especially within the meaning, kind of with like where I thought it was meaning to like take a look at why people stick with so much of a conforming lifestyle and why it's kind of like a death sentence in a way. Like there's a Cards Against Humanity card, which is like grow up, go to college, get married, have some kids, buy some shit, move to Florida, and die.
There
And
it is, man. Yep.
That's what it really reminded me of. It, people questioning why people don't resist, how people kind of fall into that ease of conformity instead of really going after their dreams and really going after what they want. In contrary to what you guys are, because you guys are doing just that with A Scent Like Wolves. And I love the unclean vocals, especially more in that verse to start out, because it takes that heavier sound and basically makes it, basically takes that heavier sound and makes it their bitch in a way. And this is metalcore at its best. Like, if you guys would have released this in 2020 like you originally had planned, this would have been an absolute gem for sure. 2021, is it going to be a gem? Well, yeah. If it was going to be a gem in 2020, it's going to be one in 2021. And then the chorus, you had that little bit of a cleaner sense with a little bit of a higher pitch to it with the heavier instrumentals from the drums. It had some of that bursting guitar. And I thought it was great as well because it creates the contrast between those two parts of the song with the vocalist. And I'm a huge fan of this piece because then you're really getting a full vibe from the song with the different contrasting style vocals. However, that connection is there where it doesn't feel like this is kind of forced. It feels like this is a natural feel. But then because Brian had to be in the breakdown of this because holy crap, it was brutal, and it was exactly what I'm talking about, what I wanted to see. Because those even more brutal, unclean vocals, they took this song essentially to a deadly place, and I thought it was an absolute perfect addition because it takes the vocals and just amps them up overall with those unclean parts. You have so many different dynamics going on with the sounds, with clean, unclean, and then Brian's unclean. Oh my God, vocally, I think vocally, the way it was mixed, this might have been your guys' best performance on the album.
Oh, thank you so much, man. That means a lot. Yeah, definitely. This is one of the songs that I just kind of wrote all the lyrics and basically performed all the vocals. My brother likes to, we like to trade, especially on this album, between singing and stuff like that and just clean vocals. A lot of people can't really tell the difference of like who's on who. Even people that have been, with me from the beginning, they're like, oh man, is that like Al right there? I'm like, no man, that's me. That's me singing that shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, you guys can't tell. I'm like, all right, well. So I think we both like stepped up in like the vocal department here. Al does do some kind of like background screams in there, and but the rest of the song, it's just my voice, like the high pitched ass voice, and the chorus, all me. Brian really gives like kind of like the extra oomph in it there. I always felt like his singing also, like he doesn't do any clean singing in this album or in this song, but I always felt like he just sounds like the guy from Rise Against. Am I wrong?
I'm going to have to really go back and listen to 2020 albums. I listened to it once or twice, but I didn't really listen to it that much in full. Again, that's going to be something I have to take a drive to.
Go check it out, man. Like go listen to Currents, their last album, The Way It Ends, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And tune into his like clean vocals. And I'm like, man, it sounds like the fucking guy from Rise Against. Is that him? I'm like, nah, it's his Currents. I'm like, shit. It always threw me through a loop, but definitely check out his voice, man. I'm almost certain it sounds like dead on, like with Tim
McElrath of Rise Against.
Yeah, almost like he's like the metalcore singer version. Because I was like, man, like this voice has to come around again at some point, and I think it's in there.
I'm gonna really have to go and take a listen to it, especially with how much I listen to Rise Against.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm gonna be able to I'm gonna have to pick that thing apart. I know when that album came out though, because when it came out, I was on a family vacation in northern Wisconsin because my aunt and uncle have a house up there, so we were hanging out there. And I think it also came out around the exact same time that How to Survive a Funeral by Make Them Suffer came out, and that was the one that I was a lot bigger into because, of course, right when I heard Erase Me as the lead single, I was just like, okay, I really got to listen to this whole entire thing when it comes out.
It's a song. I agree.
Banged. It was my fourth favorite song of the year. I listen to it pretty much almost every day if I'm in the gym because it just, you get that like piano intro and all of a sudden you just hear Erase Me. And you're ready to freaking go at that moment.
Yeah, dude. Everything's sounding off in that song. Make Them Suffer, good band. Glad to have Buka on a song. Really adds like a different feel from other stuff we've done in the past, more like ballad like. I was just so happy to get like all these people on this shit. Just to like make it into one crazy, almost like kind of like a rap album with like so many features.
That's kind of what it felt like in a way.
That's the goal, man. Like I want to be like a rap album, just like have why can't we have like just like 10 people on like a thing, You know what I mean? Like no one wants to hear my voice for fucking 40 minutes, man. Like, let's face it. You know what I mean? So it's always fun to get other people in there and like have them just change the song and just like, you know, kind of collaborate and just make it, you know, better than what I could think of.
I mean, Nick, I don't know. There's that one guy in Mongolia who definitely want to listen to sing for 40 minutes straight.
Yeah, maybe him, but I think if he's a fan of like my music, he's definitely a fan of the people that are featured on the album too, which I'm sure he would appreciate wherever he is right now.
Yeah. All right. The reason I brought the whole make them suffer thing too is because one, it's true, and two, I also wanted to transition into the track that you have with Buka on Dissolve. And the reason I want to bring it up is because there is one thing when I listen to that track, one thing that kind of stands out in my mind. And the only reason I bring this up is because when I listen to this stuff, I want to be as honest as possible. And it felt like there was just like what you did with Buka because she had her vocals more kind of isolated in the first chorus of the song, and I really liked that move in the end, just because it had the softer, more ballad feel to it overall, more melodic, a little bit more melancholic at the same time as well, and it really did work out well in the style of the instrumentals. However, I was like, okay, let's see what happens in the second verse, see how they bring this back into the chorus as well, and I was excited to see it. However, with the chorus, what I was thinking you guys were going to go with in terms of how it was going to sound with Buka and what you guys end up doing were two kind of different things. So I kind of want to know what the idea was, because it sounded like you guys had the clean vocals from between you and your brother. I don't know which one it was because I couldn't tell which one it was between the two of you. I couldn't differentiate between clean and unclean screams between you guys. Like, oh my God, it was pretty much dead on. But with that style, it kind of had a little bit more of the vocals of the song with, instead of more of a duet style, it kind of had like the clean vocals out there with Buka being more that accenting vocal type. And I was kind of expecting this to have like a duet style where the clean vocals are going to be in there, but then you're also going to have Buka's vocals as a duet over it and just really let them blast forward. So you had a little bit of a different sound, but really also had that power behind it. Kind of similar to what Breaking Benjamin did with their like remix or reimagining of Dear Agony that they had Lacey Sturm on. However, a little bit more of the powerhouse behind the female vocals. That's kind of where I was thinking that this was going to go. So why did you go with more of that clean vocal style for the second chorus and then have Buka in there, but be having more of like an accenting, more complimentary style?
Let's see. I'll start out with Sam. I'm not even like on this song at all. Like straight up, like I have like zero appearance. This song's like the brainchild of like my brother Buka and our guitarist Blake McClyman BM wrote like all like the solo parts and shit like that. So I'm not sure like what exactly they were planned going into this. I know it's probably one of the last songs done for the album, and we got like Buka's vocals, and we were like, it's like, man, like she had done like few different takes of different styles that she could put here and there. So we like heard a few takes and pretty much took what we thought would work in the song best, or what's like the most interesting feel to it. So that's pretty much how it came to sound like that. It just sounded like more of a like a fuller song with like her vocals with my brother's, and kind of backing him up. She does have like a small section in there where she's just like kind of herself, and like I feel like that's one of the coolest parts in there. It's just it was such a like a weird melody that has never been sung in like a Scent Like Wolf song ever. It's one of those I heard. I was like, yeah, we're picking like that style. That sounds something like out of this world that we would have never thought of putting on an album. So yeah, it's just a really, really cool emotional song. Guitar work is amazing. Our drummer does a great job too of accenting parts and kind of just building up the song. But yeah, I'm not on that one. So I don't know. Maybe my brother has something else to say, but I don't have too big of a say on that one.
Fair enough. Don't worry about that. The only reason I bring it up is just because whenever I do this stuff, if there's something that I have a question on, or if something I didn't necessarily think that worked out the best, I do want to bring it up because that's just the honest opinion coming from me. It's not me trying to be like, oh, put the album down or anything, put the song down or anything. I want to know the understanding of it, because also when it comes to the construction of the song and where you guys are really going with it and what the reasoning behind it is, the reason, the reason why I might not connect with it is just because there might be a misconnection in terms of how you wrote it and where you were going with it, in terms of the inspiration, the meaning behind it, and then how I perceived it, and then how my emotions kind of took over the song in terms of my perception, and then wanted to go in a different direction. That's just me being a little bit nitpicky on that point for my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's going to be a lot of people that listen to that song, and with what you went within that second chorus, with the more accenting, more complimentary style vocals from Buka, people are really going to also attach to that as well. It all kind of depends upon how you really feel the music come within you and the own like personal experiences that you have with yourself. So it's definitely something that people are going to connect with. However, on my end, it's like, this just wasn't the song that I connected with the most. There are a couple others on this album where I was just like, can they release this now instead so people can actually listen to this?
Well, always, enjoy feedback and stuff like that, man. Definitely a different style of song on the album, and we just kind of wanted to, kind of pull away a little bit from, bouncy riffs and just me screaming. So we wanted to mix it up a little bit, throw something else out there, kind of like on the Crystal Lake album, the Helix, they released. I don't even remember when.
I think it was 2019,
something like that.
Yeah,
they had a song on there that was kind of like I think it was called Just Confusing. Starts off with like a cell phone ring, which is also like kind of like an outlier on the album. It's like, oh well, like this is kind of on the album, but ends up being like one of the tracks I come back to the most, just because it's it sounds so different. But yeah, I mean, definitely I think people will hook onto the song and definitely enjoy it and put their own spin on it, and just hopefully bump it all year.
Or if not that song, just at least are some songs on this album that they're going to bump all year, because you've got multiple songs to pick from that you're going to end up connecting with. Where when it comes to Dissolve, did I connect with that as much as I did with other songs? No, but did I connect with a song like Telephone a lot? Oh God, that was probably my favorite song from the whole entire record, and it came in it came in third on the track list. So when you guys listen to the album, you listen to it through, you're going to get the intro, then you're going to go right into, I want to make sure I get the name right while I'm looking at this. You're going to go right into Eastern Lights, because I'm like, I know it's Eastern something, I just want to make sure I get it right. Then you're going to go into Telephone, and when you listen to that one, trust me on this one, that one is the one that really hit me the heaviest, really got stuck in my head. And when I was listening to it, really diving into it, really writing out my whole review of it. I'm trying to see how many pages I went with this one. That's about a page, almost 2 pages is full of just looking into this thing. So yeah, if I did that and I was super happy to go through it, trust me, you're going to want to listen to this song.
Yeah, Telephone, definitely probably one of the coolest songs we've ever written as a band. Definitely kind of about as close to pop punk as we'll ever get. But yeah, I mean, man, that song is so cool, man. Just how, that song's been in the works for a while, and to finally hear the full thing and be like, wow, like this turned out exactly like how we wanted it. Just such a dope song. Can't wait for people to hear it. Yeah, I really don't have like words to describe. It's such a cool song, such a cool dope song.
Well, I mean, I could give it my shot as well, but I got to ask this question first about the Telephone, which is, what was the inspiration behind it in terms of the meaning? Because I think I picked up on it pretty good. However, I want to see if where I picked up on it and how you guys looked at it to really make this song come through in terms of the meaning behind it kind of match up.
Yeah, so I mean, I think most of those Telephones about kind of like miscommunication in a sense, and just kind of being like on the wrong end of things, waiting to see how something's going to turn out. Yeah, it's just a really bouncy song, but the lyrics are very emotional and almost depressing. Very depressing lyrics, and to a bouncy song, but it's about like just like miscommunication in relationships, and everyone goes through that shit, and it's good to have I think like a song to kind of convey it.
Understandable, and I think I kind of picked up on that, but I went a little bit of like a back road to get there too. Because when I looked at it, what I thought it kind of brought in was it brought in that like misconnection feel and just like that lack of connection communication. But where I looked at it was like the desire to be loved in today's world and how we deal with kind of just communication through our phones. Like people are trying to connect with people. People are trying to find love basically on like stuff like Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. You're just swiping right, swiping left, and people are able to just kind of not really get invested into it. So we're really missing out on this genuine human connection under the umbrella of convenience. So when I listen to that, I'm like, okay, kind of that's where I'm picking up with where the meaning of the song goes. But as the song went on, I mean, I thought overall this is the song to look out when this full release comes out, because the instrumental construction here is really one that creates this innate feel of depression building, so it has that bouncy style to it with the slightly higher pitched tune style in the guitars that Architects would have. So it really creates that like bouncy feel, really kind of just amps it up, like feel like depression and that misconnection feel is really building. But how the vocals create this as well and amplify this throughout the whole entire song, so we get that feeling from that lack of human connection, not only through the instrumentals, but really feel it through the vocal tones as well, was an absolutely great move. Well done here. This is probably my favorite song on the album.
Oh man, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. Probably like mine, Al's favorite song. I mean, it's just from the first moment we like heard like the lick and stuff like that, and kind of demoed it out. We kind of knew it would be like one of the go-to songs on the album. We do have a music video film for it and everything, so that'll probably drop like next month too, or when Mystic Auras releases, something like that. So we do have like a little like cinematography to show with it too, that we kind of piled together. When was that, like a few months ago now? But yeah, we definitely very proud of that song. It's just so damn cool. My favorite is like the like 80s solo kind of at the end of the song to bring it out. It's cool vibes, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just like one of those mood setters where it's just a little bit different and a little bit more little poppier. Sometimes you have to have a little pop, and that's what we did.
Yeah, sometimes you have to add a little bit of that extra inspiration in there, the extra influence in there that necessarily doesn't always fit within the scope of like that bass metalcore sound. And that's totally fine, just because sometimes they end up just creating those songs that are going to stand out in the grand scheme of things, like Telephone definitely does here, because it does have a little more of that bounce to it. However, it really drives home that emotion especially when you listen to the way that the lyrics are sung, the tone of the vocals, and just the way every bit of the song is built up to kind of add that kind of that anxiety driving up inside you, where it just kind of builds slowly, and it just keeps going. Because especially like how I took a look at it, I mean, you're constantly swiping right. All of a sudden, hey, you might get some matches, you message them, and all of a sudden, hey, you're going to get some messages back, and all of a sudden, okay, you agree to go meet somebody, you go out and meet them at a bar or something, you sit down at the bar and you look at your phone, and all of a sudden, they've completely removed you from everything, they blocked you from everything, and now you're sitting there wondering what the hell actually happened. And why do I say that? Because that has happened to me before.
Yeah, that's so cool that you like kind of like thought of it like that, man. I just never pictured that song in like that aspect before. But it just goes back to like how people put like meanings to the songs. It's like almost better than what I intended it for it to be. You know what I mean? It has a lot of times when people like will explain like what it's about to me, I'll be secretly in my head, be like, oh yeah, that shit's like way better than what I thought of, you know what I mean? So I'll be like, yeah, that's exactly what I was going for right there. But yeah, I would say it's a great interpretation of the song, and definitely applies to today's world now more than ever, man. Yeah, shit's whack.
I was going to say, but one other thing it does is kind of what we brought up earlier in the podcast was when we were talking about the meanings, where you kind of found that happy medium where you definitely had your own meanings to it, but you kept it more abstract to the point where people are able to put themselves and their personal situations into the meanings of the songs a lot easier, to where, yeah, it might sound better like how I described it, what I thought of it was, but the main concept behind the whole song, which was that miscommunication or that lacking of genuine connection with people, yeah, that's definitely the whole key of it all. So the base meaning is there, but it's just how we get there and how our minds arrive at that and how our minds really take that. It's how we get there is different. But we still all arrive at the same point. You might just take that more straight and narrow path, where I take the scenic route, crash into a tree, and come limping over.
Yeah, man. For sure. I mean, I just like I love just hearing people's stories of what our songs mean to them, and just how they kind of used it to like get through something, or inspire them to do something, or they just flat out just like the message behind it. That's kind of like aim for me, to get people thinking about stuff, just to have like something to go off. I mean, I just really I'd like to know that I inspire people to play music maybe someday, or become a vocalist themselves, or start writing themselves, so I really think like songs like these can like really propel and just help inspire maybe like a future generation of people who don't think they can be in a band, or be a vocalist, or like, I'm not a musician, I can't do anything, like I can barely I'm not like like the world's best musician like in any regard. I just kind of stumbled into stuff, started screaming, and here we are. I mean, it's just about taking what you have and kind of like improving and just stepping it up with every release you have.
Totally understandable. And when it comes down to what you just said about inspiring a different generation or the next generation, when it comes down to it, it's like, even if you don't think, oh, I can't play music, or I really can't sing or anything like that, you want to know something else that you can do, you can use it to just inspire life in a completely different way. And honestly, if you're looking for a great example of that, you can take a look at Nick in terms of the more musical style, or take a look at the other side of this podcast. Take a look at me. If it wasn't for music, I probably would have stuck in that viral state, like that spiral depression. And it was all because music helped me pull out of that. And it was the inspiration behind it. And it was how much I connected with it. That's why I'm doing this. That's where it all started. That's how this whole entire thing got going. And now I've got different songs for almost any aspect of life you could think of. I mean, anything I can pull out of a sudden, okay, I got a song for this, I got a song for this, I got a song for this. If I'm really feeling down out, I really see that like inspiration that pick me up and just like keep going even in the darker times. Hell, I'm gonna put on as much skill as I freaking want. And it's just gonna drive me forward, because that's what it did when I needed it to. And there's different other bands that are really gonna have that same effect. Do you guys have that same effect on different people that really listen to your music? Of course you do. Of course there's going to be someone that listens to your music, gets inspired by it to do something that they always wanted to do in life, and go for it. And it's like, okay, will they succeed? Will they not succeed? That all depends on them. However, the inspiration to actually take that leap could easily come from your music.
Yeah. Crazy thing to think about. But I just hope that's the case for people, and they can kind of look back on our catalog of work here, and just pick up a guitar, do some vocal covers on YouTube, or anything like that. I mean, it's just even just to be a band right now is kind of crazy. I mean, I can think of like the scene back when I was in like a band, started like the band and stuff. So much different than right now. It's just like that. I feel like there's not as many like local bands anymore to kind of like do shows, and I don't know. At least in like Pennsylvania, like around here, I just feel like the emergence of local bands are kind of like there's really none. At least in this decade so far, in like the past couple of years. I don't know if that's the case, or
I don't know, 'cause I'm trying to think of like some of the bands that are around Pennsylvania that really have like popped up, and every time I think of one, it's like, okay, they're almost over 10 years old at this point.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, it's I don't know if it's everyone's being like a SoundCloud rapper right now, and maybe just doing their own thing on TikTok or something like that. Maybe that's this generation's outlet for performing. I don't know. But I kind of think it's leaning towards that, especially right now.
Definitely. And I honestly think that we're going to end up seeing a little bit of a turn here, especially what we saw in 2020. I've mentioned this plenty of times before. I've even made a whole freaking video about it, where okay, we saw it happen in 2020. We saw Youngblood and Bring Me the Horizon track. We saw MGK make a whole pop punk album, and we started seeing more people listen to that.
Badass album.
And start
Very
getting
good
into
album.
when it comes to MGK's album, personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of his vocals. However, I can't be like, oh, this album was terrible, because the instrumentation behind it, the construction behind it, especially having Travis Barker helping write a lot of those songs, really did bring it out like fantastic, so that we got that classic pop punk feel to it. And more kids are listening to it, more kids are getting into it. How can that not be a good thing? Like, that's awesome. More kids are going to end up picking up a guitar. More kids are going to end up trying to start a band, playing in a garage and doing what Dave Grohl wants them to do. Get in a garage and suck, because that's how Nirvana started. I mean, take a look at what happened with them. That's how a lot of these bands started. They got in a garage, they just played, and they sucked at the beginning, because everyone sucks at the beginning. But you see what happens when you get further along the line in there. And I think more pop artists and more hip hop artists starting to take some more influence from rock and metal and trying to do certain things within those genres and crossing them. What's going to happen is you're going to have kids in today's day and age, the TikTok generation, they're going to hear that stuff and they're going to start foraying a little bit more into it. Sure, they might not like some of it at first. However, they're going to find certain things they like, and all of a sudden different things are going to pop up on their Spotify or their Apple Music. Like, hey, if you like Bring Me the Horizon, why don't you check out, I'm trying to think of it. Why don't you check out Architects? And all of a sudden they might listen to the Holy Hell and be like, holy hell, this is good.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah. It's all about that. All about those algorithms. Really play a big part in music right now too. Especially like advertising and stuff. It's just all about the algorithm of like Spotify and Facebook, everything like that. But as long as it gets like kids to like listen to like music, and like the new generation to come in and kind of like kill it, yeah, everyone sucks when they first start. It's just how it is. Yeah, I just hope to see like a new wave of like bands emerge, that are like, that just kick ass and, can really keep it going.
I think that's what we're all hoping for at this point. And
yeah, because like, we're getting older. Who's up next here? It's kind of scary. You know what I mean? It's like I'm like 30 in March, so like whole decade of like doing this shit. It's like, well, who's gonna like step up and like be that like first like band to come up and really like wow people.
We'll see what happens. I think it might be more of like a pop punk band, just because again you got the MGK style or like the Blink-182 style, I should say, that MGK kind of had with them. But I think that's because Travis Barker also helped out with almost every single one of those tracks. But getting more kids into that, of course, they're going to start checking out some more of that stuff. They're going to start bands around that. And all of a sudden, you're going to see some young bands that are playing a lot more pop punk music. And we're going to start getting next bands like the next Blink-182, the next Fall Out Boy, the next Panic at the Disco, the next Newfound Glory, the next Story So Far, the next Yellow Card. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on, but I don't feel like you want me to list like 40 bands off at this moment.
Yeah, I got the gist. Yeah, I got the vibe you're throwing out.
Yeah. So, and then of course, like I said earlier, like with kids might start listening. Like, hey, you're listening for more Bring Me the Horizon. Hey, might want to check out Architects. All of a sudden, they check out Architects. They think it's good and say, hey, you might want to check out this band. It's called The Scent Like Wolves. And they're going to listen and they're just going to be like, this is something that we weren't expecting. But
yeah, I mean, yeah,
they're just going to keep listening to more and more.
That's the goal right there, man. Yeah, just for just people to stumble upon my music and stuff, and be inspired like I was inspired, and just do something about it. Really inspired the band that I'm just gonna like name drop, like a Fight Star. Have you heard that band before?
I've heard their name once or twice only.
You gotta check out that band after this whole thing, man. Really big inspiration probably for like me and my brother, just to like be that band, and just you gotta check them out, man. That's probably a big inspiration for Alex and I. Yeah, write that down.
You want me? Okay, let me get a pen and paper. Alrighty, let me write that down.
I do, man.
It's on my list of everything I still have to do today. So
yeah. If you're like you want something like new to vibe to, definitely not a new band. I think their last album came out in like 2015, but definitely like hitting them up on like Spotify. They have like a Deftones vibe to them, but like British. So
okay. I mean, I'm always open to listening to things that I haven't heard before, just because who the hell knows what's going to end up happening. If it wasn't for that willingness to try and listen to new things. Hell, all of a sudden, all the bands I've had in the podcast or found again in the podcast or bands that people have sent me, I'm like, you know what? Let's take a listen and see what happens. And there's been plenty of times I'm just like, yeah, we're definitely listening to this again. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm sending all this different music out to different friends, different people. It's like, hey, check this out. And it's bands that people, it's like, well, we never even have heard of this band or even thought that this was a thing. Heck, one of my favorite bands I've ever interviewed and listened to was a Russian metalcore band. Just because I'm like, Russian metalcore, what the heck is this going to sound like? I listen to it, I'm just like, yeah, can we just get more of this now?
Yeah, man, you'd be surprised like how many other countries do metalcore better than just like America.
And honestly, go over to Europe. It's like you take like British metalcore, Russian metalcore is great. One of my favorite things that people don't really know of a lot of is Italian metalcore. Those guys go freaking hard.
Oh, Italian, okay, yeah. I've never heard any Italian metalcore. I'm sure it goes hard. I do have experience with Japanese metalcore.
Oh, I've heard about Japanese metalcore. Like we talked about Crystal Lake earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, another band. Write down, Sailing Before the Wind. Their bassist, Batoku, toured with Crystal Lake and was in like a lot of their videos and stuff as a fill-in. Cool dude. Had the honor of sharing the stage with that band in Japan. I don't know, tightest metalcore band ever. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, and you know, it's not something I just like give out, but like I watch them play, I'm like, fuck. Like, you know, I'm just looking around like you can't top this, man. Like I could never top what they do. Such a cool band. They just really, you know, they really perfected metalcore, and their live stage presence is also unbelievable, out of this world.
Man, if you're looking for other Japanese metalcore bands outside of Sailing Before the Wind, also Crystal Lake, Cold Rain is another one that I'm a big fan of as well. Another couple groups that we mentioned already on the podcast today for metalcore, but from a different country. Go to Australia. You got Amity Affliction, Make Them Suffer, Polaris. I know there's plenty more. I just can't think of off the top of my head. Wait, isn't Parkway Drive from Australia?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Boom, there's another one.
Yeah, Parkway Drive, one of like the founders right there, man. It's like one of the founding fathers of metalcore.
Yeah, so there's so many different great metalcore bands out there, as well as a set like, well, you just got to go find them, and they're everywhere. They're in different countries. You never know what to expect.
They're always in different countries, man. Like, trust me, like you just go look at that, you'll be like, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, again, the first one I listened to from a metalcore album was from a British band, but it's Architect, so it makes a lot of sense. And after that, all of a sudden, I mean, shoot, you've heard me list all the different countries. Hell, I made two whole videos about bands that are Italian metalcore that I absolutely love. And I've listed 5 bands each. I've described 10 bands, and I'm just like, my God, you guys got to listen to some more of this stuff. The more you expand your horizons to bands that aren't, that was like, oh my God, when they're going on tour, they're going to be the top billed ones. They're playing these massive venues. No, just because all of them started out at that smaller stage, and they kind of all built up to that. There's a lot of bands that are in those middle tier stages right now that are ready to explode. You just got to go find them. You just got to go listen to them. I mean, there's a lot of times with Spotify algorithms. However, here's another thing you can do. Send me a DM or something. I mean, I'll send you as many as I can.
Exactly, man. Yeah. There's so much more than like America. Like the whole world has like something like chip in with like metal, and people should just experience it more. And like search YouTube for like stuff like that. Like they have like all types of videos and shit. Really cool. Just international metalcore, man. It's like strikingly one of like my favorite things, you know. Like I'll watch like kind of like United States stuff. I'm like, all right, yeah, yep. And I'll just like watch like another country. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this is what I'm talking about right here. I don't know. It just hits different. I don't know.
It easily does hit different. So again, always go and look out. Always go look on the new horizons. Always go look for new things. Hell, even ask us. I mean, we'll tell you all these different bands. We have different ideas, and we'll throw you every step of the way. However, one thing you're going to want to listen to, especially on February 19th, is going to be Mystic Auras, because when I went through the whole entire thing, I always liked, I mean, I'm planning on doing a whole entire YouTube review for this album as well and putting it out the same day the podcast comes out, so people also get to look at that in a different way. But I always put together like, okay, my likes, dislikes, and I do it always a final thought thing in that video, write out an overall thing. I have it right here, so everyone listening, when it comes to Mystic Auras, overall, I think A Scent Like Wolves should be proud of themselves for this album, focusing in on a concept where they're looking at what we desire most and figuring out why that is the case is a big thing to undertake. However, they were able to take charge with that emotion by not focusing on this brutal metalcore aspect and adding a lighter and sometimes more melancholic feel to the musical composition. Now, is this something that always worked out perfectly in every single song? In my opinion, no. Sometimes some of the songs kind of had a little bit of a sameness feel to them with that like Architect sound with that guitar. However, that's my ear. That's what I'm feeling. But are there times where they really built off of that bass to create a metalcore bass to create a sound that really makes you think about your desires in life and why we want those desires? Now, that is an absolute yes. Listen to Telephone and try and tell me otherwise. I mean, I mentioned it already. Try and tell me otherwise. With metalcore being like a huge forefront today in terms of quality, maybe not overall in terms of just notoriety, but quality is absolutely perfect, especially after 2020. They will be able to add more to that and continue to build their fan base and notoriety in the scene with this one. So is this one you definitely want to listen to? Survey says, yep.
I agree, man. Yeah, I want to listen to it. I hope other people want to listen to it. Quality over quantity. You know what I'm saying? It's like a half hour of power. Yeah, I hope people bump it, enjoy it. Just stick with it all year. Maybe they'll make it on some end of the year album list for some people for 2021. Hopefully, you know what I mean, if they like remember like that far down the line. I always forget like stuff that came out really early in the year. I'm like, oh yeah, that came out this year. I better include that on like my list of like top albums for this year. But hopefully people remember it, they dig it, and they just overall vibe with it.
Well, that's actually a good idea because I always do this I always do it at the end of the year as well, and there's always somewhere I'm like, I want to make sure I get them right. So I always put them in a huge Excel sheet and I'm like, okay, I want to remember some of these. So if you hear me typing, I'm just adding this one to that.
Perfect, man.
So I've got that because I mean, especially with April or February, I should say, there's some big releases coming out as well with February. I mean, I'm talking outside of you guys as well, because you got Foo Fighters coming out in February. You've got the Pretty Reckless. You've got Architects as well. So, and then in March is also a good number there. I mean, 2021, we're expecting to see a huge crop of new music. And one thing that always ends up happening towards the year end is a lot of the albums that come out earlier in the year, sometimes they do get forgot. However, you gotta just write this stuff down somewhere. You don't want to forget about this one. Yep. And when it comes to listening to this, again, take a drive at night. Just put it on, car stereo, crank it up, and really let the song and the artistry come over you. Really let you dive deep into it with your mindset, and you will really feel the power of this album, and you will really understand where they're coming from with this. Especially Telephone. That's still my favorite song. I'm gonna keep pushing that thing, man.
Wow, that's good, man. Yeah, I'm glad people and you dig it. Yeah, such a badass song. That's a song like, whereas like the album's like a night driver, like that's like a summer afternoon shit that you like roll the windows down and bump it. Definitely.
I mean, for me, from how I think about it too, it could also definitely be a night driver as well, just with the theme that I really took behind it as well. However, with the way that it kind of bounces, it definitely could be a summer roll down the window. Honestly, it's a song of all trades, honestly.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's the goal with that one, man. It's just like popular all year round, baby. That's what it's about.
So when it comes to making sure you listen to Mystic Auras by A Scent Like Wolves, here's what you're going to do. If you haven't already pre-saved it on your Spotify and Apple Music, wherever it is, this is what is going to end up happening. You're going to take a look at the link in the description of this podcast. You're going to see all the links for all their socials, their YouTube, their website, where you can find their merch and buy some merch, which I just suggest you do because I always like to suggest that. But also you're going to find links for Spotify and Apple Music where you can find the band and you can follow them and you can pre-save their latest album, Mystic Auras, which comes out on February 19th, to really get into it. And I mean, I don't want you guys to miss out on this one. You're going to know that it comes out because the same day the album comes out, all of a sudden, if you're following MSOTD Rocks page, you're going to wonder what the song of the day feature is. Is it going to be one off of Mystic Auras? The answer is absolutely. I'm not going to let you guys forget about this.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah, like merch. We got a whole bunch of new stuff coming out. Should have like a vinyl coming out eventually for Mystic Auras too. Got some dope ass hoodie designs by my man Corey Swope. Shout out Curly Art. He really killed it with our merch. Wall flags coming out. We got a whole slew of shit coming out. So yeah, just if you can, like, buy a CD, buy a shirt, do something. It's really dope shit, dope art. And yeah, go Bills.
Also, did you say vinyl? Because I could use another one.
Yep. Yeah, we're definitely, I think they're in production, or they will be very soon. Everything's just so backed up right now with all that stuff, but definitely vinyl is in the works.
Understandable. And when that vinyl is ready, if I'm not able to find it right away, just let me know, because you will definitely see a credit card purchase come through for me for Mystic Auras on vinyl.
Oh man, good stuff. Thank you so much.
Well, on that note, because we're coming to the end of this podcast, Nick, I always like to give the guests a chance to say any final words they'd like to say, whatever they want to say, whatever you want to say. So whether it's something that you want to plug, the new album, anything you want to say, I literally give you the floor. So floor is yours. Well, the time. If I gave you the floor, I mean, I'd fall right through, and my landlord would be pretty pissed at me.
Yeah, it's a good Andy Reid thing right there. Floor's yours. Floor's yours. So, yeah, I just want to say, thanks to everybody for tuning in, watching, just being a part of the band for the past, however many years, and just supporting us. Mystic Auras, dropping February 19th to a local Spotify and web store near you. Definitely keep an eye out for our telephone music video, which is also probably airing the same time around there on YouTube. And just stay humble and hungry. Let's get through this year. Let's pray that live music comes back sooner than later, so we can all just have a nice night out and enjoy music again.
Understandable. Now it's my time to close this bad boy out. So I got 3 things to close this out with. One is, like Nick said, make sure you listen to Mystic Auras by Ascent Like Wolves when it comes out on February 19th. Again, links for that, it'll be in the description of this podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeart Radio. So I'm not going to let you forget about this. Trust me on that. Secondly, yes, let's get back to live shows, because do I want to see Ascent Like Wolves live? The answer is yes. And because I always like, and because there's always something I like to do with the bands that I've had on the podcast, and I always like to make them a promise, because it's not if I see them live, it's when I see them live. Is it going to happen? Do I know when? Not really right now, because who the hell knows what's going on with when concerts are going to return. Hopefully in summer or early or spring, whoever knows. But when I do get a chance to see you guys will see me in the crowd. If you see some crazy guy in a mosh pit, all of a sudden starts bleeding, runs off, all of a sudden comes back with a huge, blot of paper towel over his eye with a whole piece of, someone's flannel tied across it looking like a pirate, you guys will know that's me. And I'll make you this promise, because I love having you on the podcast, which I'd love to talk to the other guys as well. So first round's on me.
All right, man. That's all I'm talking about.
And if you hold me to it, well, okay, because I'm saying first round's on me. So I'm adding you to that club. So, because loved having you guys on the show, or you on the show, I should say. The rest of the guys, yeah, I love the music. So we're going to have you on as the first round's on me, guys. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm starting to ramble. So now we'll end it with this. So Nick, because of that promise, because I love the music, and because I want to see you live so damn bad, I cannot end this podcast in all good conscience with a goodbye. It seems wrong at that point, because it seems like that's the end of it. Can't do that. So we're going to end this podcast the way I like to end it. See you later.
See you, man.
Well, folks, that was my interview with Nick from the band Ascent Like Wolves. Yes, please listen to Mystic Auras when it comes out on February 19th. Again, all information is in the description of this podcast, both the video version on YouTube and the audio stream on Spotify, Podcast, Google Play, iHeart Radio. Please follow along with them. Please keep tapping these guys. And again, on Friday the 19th or on that weekend, go for a nice long drive at night and listen to this album front to back. yes, you will thoroughly enjoy it, and it will really impact your soul. Trust me on that. Not in a bad way. It will really make you feel like yourself. It's a great album to do that to. Also, make sure you listen to Telephone, which is the third track on the album. That one is my absolute favorite. Absolutely incredible track. So go make sure that one is listened to. And I'm not going to forget about this band. I'm keeping tabs on them. And again, when I see them live for the first time, hopefully 2021, first round's on me. So on that note, that's going to be for me today, guys. Thank you for watching and listening to the Chord Progression Podcast, which is SOTD Rocks or Rock and Metal Thrive. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes with a big, healthy, and hearty see ya! Yeah!